I'm going to quickly wrap up this part of the discussion because we're really taking up a lot of time, and it's great, it's fantastic. But I'm just going to answer those two questions over there, which is what taxes would I impose first, and what do we do to mobilise and to fight this? On the taxes, there's no one tax. There would be three in particular I would look to. First is what's now called the Robin Hood tax, the tax on financial transactions, which could raise around 20 billion a year. Secondly, I would greatly increase the number of tax enforcement staff at HMRC, which is the opposite of what the government is doing, in order to close a tax gap, much of which is in the form of corporation tax, and the tax gap is somewhere between 40 and 120 billion at the moment, which could go, you won't recover all of it, but it would be enough to make a very sizable dent in the deficit. And the third one is something which is just never discussed. It's an extraordinary thing that is never discussed, which is national insurance. That up to a certain level of income, £847 per week, you pay 11% national insurance. Above £847 a week, you pay 1% national insurance. Wow. It's an absolute outrage, and it's completely off the political radar. And that's something I would like to bring to the front of people's minds. Now, on the question of what we do, well, I think Egypt and Tunisia and Libya, hopefully without the guns, give us a way forward. What they show is that power is a form of mesmerism. We accept power only because we believe we have to accept power. And I'm not saying that we should overthrow the government, because we do have an electoral system in this country, but we should overthrow the government's agenda. And I think we are totally legitimate in overthrowing those elements of the agenda which weren't in any manifesto, because there's no democratic legitimacy behind them at all. But what we need for that to happen is not just one big march, as I hope we're going to have on March the 26th, I think it'll be a very big march indeed, but we need to turn that into sustained occupations. We need to turn it into the kind of level of mobilization which we saw in Egypt, which and if it can be done there, when you had a very real chance of being massacred on the street, then what's wrong with us that we can't do it? I think what we need for this is, first of all, to start building that broad-based coalition, which is beginning to happen between people like the trades unions and UK Uncut and many other different groups around. But I also believe, and I've been having this discussion with UK Uncut, that we actually need a statement of aims. Short, sharp, clear aims, which a lot of people could sign up to, 10 or 20 aims, where we say, this is what we want. Because what so often happens is you get into this rut of oppositional politics, where you say, this is what we don't want, and you be very clear about what you don't want. But until you articulate what you want, then actually you can't get anywhere, because all you ever do is respond to somebody else's agenda, and you're trapped by that agenda. You also don't know if you are getting anywhere, because you don't know whether what you want is being met if you haven't actually articulated what you want. And so I'm going to keep chivying UK Uncut and the unions, whether they like it or not, to say we've got to draw up, if you don't want to call it a manifesto, call it a statement of aims or objectives or whatever it is, so that we know what we're aiming for and we know if we're going to get there or not.